In today's video, I'll share with you my favorite setup for the GoPro Hero 9 when it comes to filming underwater. Coming up. Hi there underwater filmmakers, and welcome back to the Underwater Filmmaking School, and today's video about how to set up a perfect setup for your GoPro Hero 9 when it comes to filming underwater. Now, as you can see, this is my favorite setup, the setup that I consider to be pretty much perfect for the GoPro Hero 9 when it comes to filming underwater. And as you can see, it is slightly bigger than just having your GoPro and the according housing to it. But in my opinion, it will make your whole use of the GoPro Hero 9 underwater a lot more versatile, and it will also increase the quality of footage that you can get from that tiny little camera. So let's get into all the different components of this setup, and I'll also share with you my thoughts why I've picked these specific components for this entire setup. Let's go. So we'll obviously start with the GoPro Hero 9 itself and the original GoPro Hero 9 housing. That's the key element, the brains of our system. And the first thing that I want to talk about is the handle or the tray. I always recommend getting a tray with handles on it so that you can actually use your GoPro Hero 9 in a more stable way when filming underwater, and it's very important. These tiny cameras, it's very easy to get a bit of shake into them by just using it as they are, but having them on a tray and with handles on it, it's just going to be much easier to maneuver that camera around more stable. Now, this tray that I've got here is from Backscatter, and I really like this tray because it's got dual handles, they're nicely padded, they're very comfortable to hold on to and to use underwater. So this is definitely a tray that I can highly recommend for basically any kind of action camera to use it underwater. The second piece that I want to talk about, and that I find also very important, if not most important, is the use of filters with your GoPro Hero 9. Now, there is ways that you can just use single filters and put it onto or in front of the lens of your GoPro Hero 9, but Backscatter has actually come up with a flip filter system. They call it the Flip 9, and it's just the little piece that is in front of the camera or of the housing here. You got two attachment points where you can attach different types of filters. As you might know, there is different densities of filters depending on the depth that you want to use them at. So it does make sense to have more than one filter, and you can switch in between the different filters while being underwater and according to the surrounding conditions. Now, the way this flip filter system works is incredibly simple. You've got different locked positions on the flip filter system. You've got one just there. You've got one that is sort of in this position here, but in this position you can't really turn on and off the camera anymore, so I like to have it in this position here. And once you want to use your filter, you can just pop it in front of the camera lens and you're good to go. Once you're done with using the filter, you can just pop it off and secure it in the locked position again. Now, another way to use the flip filter system is to actually have, like I've got here, not two red filters on it, but one red filter or a magenta filter, like in my case here for the greenish water in Switzerland, and use the second attachment point to attach a macro module. I have gotten a Macro Mini or Macro Mate Mini, I'd better say, on here, and a close-up lens with a +10 diopter. It just clicks in front of the lens, and what we've got now is we are able to record decent macro shots with this system, which we were not able to do without this. Now, don't get me wrong, you're not gonna get National Geographic macro shots with this system, because a GoPro is just not meant to be shooting macro. But you will get decent looking macro shots, close-up shots with that system. And this is the best that we can really do with a GoPro, in my opinion. So if you want to have that variety, that versatility of shooting wide angle and macro on your GoPro Hero 9, I'd highly recommend you use one of the slots on the Flip Filter 9 system for a red or a magenta filter, and the second one for the macro module. Now, while we're talking about the macro module, if you do want to shoot macro with your GoPro Hero 9, I strongly recommend that you do get yourself some sort of a tripod for more stable footage. It's incredibly difficult to get stable footage handheld when you're shooting macro. So I recommend getting something like a Gorilla Pod like I've got here. I find these type of tripods ideal for that scenario and that setup because they're lightweight, they're inexpensive, they're easy to use, they're versatile, and they just do a very good job in a situation or with a setup like this. Now let's move on to the last part, which are our lights. And if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I'm a big fan of using lights when shooting underwater. And I think it's just gonna make a huge difference in the quality of your footage, whether or not you can actually define where you wanna have the light coming into your image. That's also the reason why I always suggest having 2 lights rather than 1. So if you have to make a decision whether you want to get a very strong light or 2 less strong lights, I would always go for 2 rather than 1 because it's just going to make your whole system more versatile and you're going to be more creative using the lights as well. Now the lights that I've got here, they are Backscatter's brand new macro wide 4300 lights. And why I like them is obvious because they're very small, they fit this system perfect, they're very easy to travel with, they've got a decent battery life of around an hour, and they've got different settings to use as well. They're very easy to use, and in addition to having their regular 90-degree beam angle, which you would use when shooting wide angle or sort of mid shots, they've also got what we call a snoot module kind of built into them. So by the push of a button, you can change from the 90-degree angle to a very narrow beam, which will help you isolate your object from the background, and in combination with the macro module here will be helping you to make some really cool macro shots. And not to be forgotten, I also want to talk about the attachment system of the lights to the tray itself. This is a lock line arm or 2 lock line arms, and I find them very, very easy to use with a system like this. They're basically the same as your Gorilla Pod when it comes to how they work and how they function. They can be adjusted very, very easily. You can have your lights coming from different directions. You can change them very quickly. They're stiff enough to not just flop around underwater if there's the tiniest amount of current, but they're still easy enough to move around easily to help you achieve the lighting condition that you want in your image fairly quickly. And there you have it. That's my favorite setup for the GoPro Hero 9 when it comes to filming underwater. Now, all the pieces of equipment that we've talked about today, they will be linked down in the video description below. Feel free to go and check them out if you want to put together your own setup. Now, they will take you to the website of Backscatter. Backscatter is not sponsoring this video, not paying me for this video, but they've actually sent me all this stuff, not to keep unfortunately. I'll have to send it back, but they've sent it to me so I can actually test it out and review it here on the channel for you guys. So thank you very much guys at Backscatter. I'm really appreciating your support of the channel here. Now that's about it for today's video. Now before we wrap it up, I've got one question for you guys. What is your favorite GoPro Hero 9 setup for filming underwater and why? Let me know down in the comment section. I'd love to start a conversation with you about that. Right, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. If this video was useful to you, if you've got something out of it, hit that like button and also consider subscribing for more videos like this in the future. Thanks again for your time. Happy bubbles and have fun capturing your underwater adventures and sharing them with your loved ones. I'll see you in the next video.